There's something fascinating about scrapped concepts. The idea of what a piece of media could have been is one of the most interesting topics of discussion amongst many a fandom. From Nicolas Cage as Superman to Dana Terrance's original ending for The Owl House, scrapped concepts, in any form, strike the imagination of many, and for good reason. What would it have been like? Would it have been good or bad? Would it have been better or worse than what we ultimately got? Godzilla, in his 70-year-long tenure, has been no stranger to scrapped ideas. From the concept of pitting him against the spirit of the original 1954 version, to the idea of Godzilla being female, pregnant, and extraterrestrial, later being turned into a rocket for her kid to return home. I am not joking, look this up. However, there's one scrapped Godzilla story that serves as the go-to when it comes to talking points. That, in specific, being Godzilla 94, the original concept for what would become Godzilla 1998. I don't really feel like I need to discuss the history of this concept and the 1998 movie in general, since there are already countless videos out there discussing the topic in various levels of depth, as well as the fact that it's among one of the more popular and well-known scrapped Godzilla ideas. The story of a woman, Jill Llewellyn, coming to terms with the death of her husband at the hands of Godzilla, here depicted as an ancient Atlantean bioweapon, who awakened in order to stop a gigantic apocalyptic monster. The Griffin, my beloved. However, one thing that I don't think many talk about all that much in regards to Godzilla 94 is its lasting legacy, and just how much it shaped the Godzilla media following it, specifically that of Legendary's Monsterverse. First and most obviously, Godzilla himself. Godzilla, design-wise, was intended to have a very reptilian and saurian look, fitting since in the film he was made using dinosaur DNA. While the DNA creation isn't present, at least explicitly, in the Monsterverse, the design is still a more directly saurian take on Godzilla, though still more in faith than that of the 1998 design. As well as that, personality-wise, 94 Godzilla is almost identical to that of Titanos Gojira. Godzilla in the script acts with a far more sympathetic manner, but still has animalistic instincts at its core, and is treated as that of an animal, albeit one that is crucial to save the planet. And with that mannerism came a similar change in fighting style. 94 Godzilla was at first meant to be far more active and agile, with an earlier idea giving him an almost cat-like feel. While Titanos Gojira himself didn't start that way, a lot of recent entries have taken a similar approach, such as Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, both of which, funnily enough, were written by Terry Rossio, one of the writers behind the 94 script. However, that's not all that's carried over. The major antagonist, the Griffin, has had a legacy of his own, becoming one of the more popular aspects of that scrapped film. Hiya Toys, please give me a figure of that, oh my god! And as such, a lot of aspects from it would be reused, especially in the Monsterverse. The Griffin itself was described as a hybrid creature, using the body of a cougar, wings of a bat, feet of a horse, the claws of a lizard, and 3 snakes for tongues. This kind of design philosophy is surprisingly common in the Monsterverse, transforming and mishmashing different creatures of all kinds, whether they be mythological, prehistoric, or actually living, from Behemoth's hybridization of a sloth and a mammoth, to the Skullcrawler's everything. Even the mythological naming, albeit misspelled in this case, is also something in common with the Titans of the Monsterverse. On top of that, the Griffin's origin, while itself unique, does have some buildings in the Monsterverse, specifically with that of King Ghidorah, an alien invader from thousands of years ago returning in the modern day in order to wreak havoc and tear all life on this planet apart, reshaping it into something more suitable for itself. As well as having an ancient history with Godzilla himself and humanity, with their battles being recounted in the myths. Finally, the human characters. As stated in the introduction, Godzilla 94 follows Jill Llewellyn, a woman who gains a vendetta against Godzilla following his awakening, which led to the death of her husband, Keith. Throughout the story, Jill, reluctantly joining a government organization dubbed the St. George Project, learns to make peace with Godzilla's existence and the death of her husband, as she realizes Godzilla is humanity's last hope. Sound familiar? This is basically the characters of Joe Brody and Mark Russell rolled into one. While Joe Brody isn't as obvious, there is a major similarity in motivation. The entire reason for Joe's actions in Godzilla 2014 is because of the death of his wife in an incident relating to the Mutos at the beginning of the film, with that also being the kick into Ford's story. However, the major similarity is with Mark Russell. Throughout the story of Godzilla King of the Monsters, Mark goes through an arc of learning to come to terms with Godzilla's existence, as well as the death of a family member, in this case, his son Andrew. As well as that, there's similarities with the side characters, Aaron Vaught, Marty Kaneshita, and Tina Llewellyn. Aaron is a crackpot theorist who uses myths and folklore to guide his thinking, with his beliefs in things like Atlantis and dragons being proven, for the most part, right. As such, being the guideline for how characters handle the threat of the monsters. Much like Bernie and Dr. Chen, the former being a conspiracy theorist and the latter being a mythology expert who uses her myths to understand the kaiju. As well as that, some elements of Dr. Serizawa are carried over, serving as the main character's conscious foil, guiding them through their arc, as well as being the major character to show appreciation for the monsters themselves. Well, at least Godzilla. Marty Kaneshita serves a similar role to Dr. Vivian Graham, serving as the sidekick-esque character that helps with the info dumping. Not to say I hate Vivian's character, I don't, but really, to my recollection, that's pretty much all she does. And finally, Tina Llewellyn has a lot of her traits in Madison Russell, the daughter character who serves as the grounding force in the story, as well as the entire reason the final battle has personal stakes. As well as that, Tina herself is a sort of rebellious and irrational character, acting as a foil to her mother and serving as an eye-opener to them. Now, with all of this, I do recognize that these points could be purely coincidental. A lot of this stuff is common across the kaiju genre, or storytelling in general. However, there is one major scene that I think really encapsulates the legacy of Godzilla 94 with the Monsterverse. Following the defeat of the Griffin and the Battle of New York, Godzilla himself has grown exhausted and is returning to the sea. But the US military is not having any of it, as they prepare to do everything in their power to kill Godzilla. However, Bendek, the military commander, receives a radio from Jill telling him to stand down. After some debate, he eventually calls off the attack, allowing Godzilla to return to the sea. Everyone presumes Godzilla is dead, that is until an atomic breath breaches the surface and a large V-shaped wake begins to swim away. This scene in particular is one of the best examples of Godzilla 94's legacy, in my opinion. While the specific pieces of the scene appear all across, such as Jill standing with Godzilla after coming to terms with her husband's death, the overall tone and attitude is incredibly prominent throughout the Monsterverse. Godzilla himself, throughout the script, is viewed as a both animalistic and sympathetic light, a creature that, while destructive, is a necessary evil in order for life to survive. Something that the Monsterverse carries in spades, with the Titans themselves, while destructive, serving as guardians of nature. This scene in specific being the moment where humanity realizes the benefits that Godzilla may have, and thus, by standing down, they allow themselves to survive alongside. 30 years following the writing of the original script, Godzilla 94 stands as, well, the most well-known scrapped Godzilla story, and a fascinating tale in and of itself. And while the film itself may not have happened, nor may it ever will, as shown with the Monsterverse, its legacy continues to live on. Long live the king! Hey guys, it's me, Minecraft World. So, this was my One Monstrous Moment 770 edition. I know I haven't been active around a lot, but I figured this year, since it's Godzilla's 70th anniversary, it feels incredibly fitting for me to share my love for one of my personal favorite Godzilla stories and what is straight up my favorite scrapped Godzilla concept. I had a lot of ideas for what I want to do for what I wanted to do for One Monstrous Moment 770. But this was the one I chose because I've had a very recent obsession with scrapped Godzilla concepts, and I've just had an obsession with them, and I wanted to talk about my favorite one. Plus do something simultaneously fitting and unique. So, if you're curious about reading the script, there is going to be a link in the description. I highly recommend reading the script yourself. It is really, really good. As for life updates, I know I didn't get around to doing some of the videos that I stated I would do in my update vid, and frankly speaking, I have lost a lot of motivation to do that kind of stuff. Creative burnout is a lot of fun, let me tell ya. But in place of that, I have had work on other major projects, well, one major project in place of this one, which, that being a video essay about Project Nemesis, which I hope to have finished scripted by the end of the year. Oh god. Life's been treating me well. I know I haven't been active on my channel for a while. I have been active on Instagram and semi-active on Kara. By that I mean very infrequent on Kara. And if you do want to hear my voice on YouTube, aside from this one, go check out some of the live streams from my friends Zimzilla and Sea Monster. They're good friends, and they probably have videos for the One Monstrous Moment 770 playlist, which I also have linked in the description if you're curious on seeing the other stuff. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Take care, guys. Peace.